Good morning. This is Dana. We're out at the Kolache Bohemian Hall. Today I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to make the kolache. It is the pastry of the Czech Republic, kind of like a Danish with filling in it. So I'm going to start with the dough first. I already had some yeast rising. See, it's already bubbling over my cup. So we're going to get the yeast going in here. You never want to put extremely hot water in with your yeast or you will kill it. And then I got some milk warm on the stove. It's warm to the touch, but not too hot because then you will kill your yeast. And now that I'm saying that, it is too hot. So I'm going to dump a little in here to let it cool off for a second. So while I'm waiting for that, I throw in a stick of butter. And I had some Crisco pre-measured out. And the recipe will be in our cookbook that we sell and possibly online as well. So I have to talk fast because this has to be a short video, but the whole process of kolaches takes at least 4 hours, closer to 5. We're going to make about 10 dozen today, and it doesn't matter if you make 1 dozen or 10 dozen, it takes that long because the dough has to rise. Here we have some lard that you can find in your baking aisle of your grocery store. Sometimes it's refrigerated, sometimes it's not. I whipped up some of the eggs already. Like I said, the amounts will be in the recipe. A little bit of salt. I'm not good at measuring, guys, sorry. Some vanilla. So we have our eggs, our yeast, our fat, which is all these. Milk is cooled down a little bit here, so like I said, you don't want to kill your yeast with hot milk. I'm gonna give that another second here. I can start whisking it up. You want your fats to be pretty soft, room temperature. If you need to microwave your butter for a second to get it soft, because it's too hard, it'll stick and it won't stir up. You want your house to be warm. Wood stoves are awesome for helping these types of things rise, but we don't have a wood stove here. I already turned my oven on because it helps warm up the house too, get things rising. The rest of the milk should be ready here. So now we're going to add some sugar, a couple cups of sugar. Basically this is bread dough, but the only difference is it has sugar in it, so it's sweet. Now your flour is a touchy subject here. The recipe may call for so many cups, but the humidity of the day honestly determines how much you're going to add. Some days I add 10 cups, some days I add 14 cups. I'm going to try to show you the consistency of the dough here once I get it going. And honestly, I have found the less flour, the softer they will be. And you don't want to keep mixing and getting too much flour in there. Kind of let it rest a little bit between scoops because it kind of absorbs it as you go. And You can't take flour out, but you can always add more in. That's my little rule. I have found they get very chewy if you add too much flour. They're still good, but people like them soft and pillowy. So it's already starting to get thicker, but that's obviously not thick enough because you have to be able to handle it. And at some point here, whisking it won't work anymore. So then you can transfer to a spoon of some sort. Wooden spoons work nice. Once it starts really sticking in there is when I turn it over to a wooden spoon. If you're counting cups of flour, that's great because I'm not. So then I just kind of keep working it in here, going around the edge. It's starting to gel together pretty good. You want to be able to pick it up with your hands at some point. I've seen people knead it on the counter like bread, but that means you have way too much flour in it. You don't want that, then it's too hard and stiff. Okay, now I see it's sticking to my hands, not enough flour in there yet. And my little trick to get the flour off your hands is to rub that off. I think we're just about there. Now at this point, I'll try to work it with my hands a little bit. Get it all incorporated. I kind of take my fingers and scrape the edge of the bowl, get that flour in there. And once you can kind of pick it up and turn it over, and all that flour is incorporated, should be good to go in a minute. Take a little bit of flour to get that off my hands. And once it stops sticking to your hands, then should be enough flour. Because when we roll these into little balls, little individual balls of dough that will be filled with filling, I'll have flour on the table and I'll roll them in that flour. So if this is still a little bit on the sticky side, that's okay because you'll take that stickiness away when you roll them on the table. Not quite there yet. Pick it up like that, then you pick it or turn it and kind of get all the creases out of it. My mom always said make it soft like a baby's bottom. Give it a good pat. Then this is key, you have to spray it with oil because if the dough dries out, it will not rise. And then you have to cover it so the air doesn't get to it. And then I typically take it and set it on my stove. Do not turn the burner on. If it's on a pilot light, do not do that either, or set it on some kind of a rack so the pilot light doesn't burn the dough. And possibly you could put a dish towel over it as well. So I should probably show you, that's what it looks like now. So it's going to double in size in about an hour. Good. Okay, we're back. It's about an hour later. The dough has risen pretty well. It's basically supposed to double in size. So now, get some flour, you pinch off. I guess if you're familiar with a walnut, that's kind of what I go with, the size of a walnut. And this is where that flour comes in. If it's really sticking to your hands, you wanna, but you're basically trying to make it the ball smooth, get out all the cracks and crevices. And so on these cookie sheets here, you can fit 15 balls. I highly recommend light colored cookie sheets. My oven is set at 380 right now. 350 just seemed to take too long, but if you have dark cookie sheets, put your oven on 350 because you will burn them. They burn very fast. They sell these cookie sheets at Sam's Club and Walmart, I believe. Probably you can get them anywhere nowadays, but I highly recommend heavy and lightly colored. So just to show you, that's the balls. When I get that full of 15, I would spray each one and you would wrap it so the air doesn't get to them. And then they rise again for probably another hour. Once you get this all rolled out and wrapped, then the first pan should be ready to fill. Okay, it's been about another hour for these to double in size as well. And basically I take my 3 fingers, dip them in some flour, and you punch down. You kind of almost have to put flour on each time so they don't stick to you. So you're gonna take your other finger and just make a circle, and you don't want to go too wide and too thin. You don't want your finger to poke through the bottom of the kolache. It has to support it. Your fillings, you can buy poppy seed in these cans in any baking aisle. There's bigger stores like Weaver's and other Mennonite stores where you can buy bags of filling, cream cheese, raspberry, lemon. There's cherry in a can at any baking store, and prune. The poppy seed is very, very thick, so I water it down with some milk to thin it out. It's very expensive as well. But prune and poppy seed are the 2 flavors that the Czech Bohemian people really go for. And don't let prune scare you away. If you want to call it plum, people are more likely to eat it. It's good stuff. So you just pat those down. Poppy seed has a tendency to run over, so don't fill them super full. And then for time, I'm not going to do this whole thing for you, but I made some streusel. That recipe will be in the book as well. Flour, sugar, butter. Be generous with your streusel. That's the best part in my book. So now, once you get that whole pan filled, try to bake all one flavor on a pan, dark colors. You don't want to put lemon and poppy seed because the dark will burn and the lemon won't be done. So I would go throw these in an oven once they're all full. I'm baking on 380, but like I said, go to 350 if you have a dark pan. About 12 minutes, and we'll show you what they're done and look like in a little bit. Okay, we have pulled our first pan out of the oven, As you can see, the poppy seed did run a little bit, so I obviously watered it down with milk too much. Not a huge deal, it's still edible. But if you can see this, when the bottom is nice and golden brown, the tops, I prefer them not over-baked. They get too hard. Some people like them burnt. My dad always loved them burnt. But anyways, I've got some melted butter here, and I'm very, very generous. You dab the edges of each one very much. It makes them stay soft. So you go around. I'm gonna stop here for time, but this is just, once you get the whole pan buttered, you get them onto a cooling rack right away, because otherwise they'll get all sweaty and moist on the pan. So for time, I'm gonna stop here, but I have my helper Joanne is gonna come in here, because we're done. This is it. Like I said, you can like the Karat Bohemian Hall on Facebook, and I try to keep things updated on stuff we're doing here. And you can always message me, email me, call me, text me, message me if you have questions. The hall is available for rent, and I might be doing actual Kolache classes in the future as a fundraiser, so we can get together and do one of those. So come on in, Joanne.
Well, you've just seen 4 hours of kolache baking condensed on a short video, and now you understand the old Czech saying, bez prace nejsou kolache. Without work, there is no kolache.
Thank you.
Thank you.